GoForThe2.com. This is our Week 9 preview. Right now, all eyes can't wait for the November 3rd showdown between the LSU Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. But wait, there's a marquee matchup this weekend in the SEC. It's the 11th ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on the top ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Can the Bulldogs get the upset on the road and stun the top-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide? And Nick Saban will be the key question heading into this ballgame. It's an 8:30 start. It's on ESPN. You got to check it out. This game has huge implications within the SEC West. Can Mississippi State get the win on the road and stun Alabama before the showdown with LSU? All eyes will be on this game, and it's going to be a great matchup. Let's talk about some notes about this series. The last 4 games have been owned by Alabama. They've won 4 straight. The combined points for Mississippi State over the 4 games has been 27 points. That's an average of 6.75 points per game for Mississippi State. They've been able to hang defensively with the Crimson Tide over the last 4 games. It's a very physical series. It's always been very hard hitting, and Mississippi State has hung in there over the last 4 years defensively. But it's been the offensive lack of firepower, which is the reason why Alabama has won 4 straight. Statistically, the Mississippi State Bulldogs have only won 10 games in the history of the series on the road at Alabama. Their overall road record versus Alabama is 10-48-2. That's a huge statistic. So this is going to be an uphill battle for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Can they do it? We'll see. That game is Saturday at 8:30, and we'll have our prediction up on our website and up on YouTube Thursday morning, so check that out. Offensively, for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, they have 3 great weapons. Quarterback Tyler Russell, he's hitting 60% of his passes, 15 touchdowns and 1 interception. He gives head coach Dan Mullen a vertical passing game that they haven't had over the last couple of years against Alabama. The last couple of years, Tyler Russell was able to split time with former quarterback Chris Relf. Chris Relf was more of a running quarterback. He wasn't a legitimate deep pocket passer, but that has changed this year with Tyler Russell. He makes good decisions, and he gives the Mississippi State Bulldogs a big arm in order to get the ball downfield and loosen up that top-ranked Alabama defense. Running back Ladarius Perkins, who's averaging 5.8 yards per carry. Last year, he split time with Vic Ballard. Vic Ballard with the Indianapolis Colts now. Ladarius Perkins is a very tough inside runner. He runs with an attitude. He's also able to catch the ball on swing passes and screen passes, and that's going to be a key component for the game plan in against Alabama for Mississippi State. Wide receiver Chad Bumphus, he's averaging 15.9 yards per catch. He gives them a legitimate deep threat in order to spread out the linebackers and cornerbacks for Alabama. Can Dan Mullen come up with a game plan to get the ball into his playmakers' hands? The good thing for Mississippi State has been over the last 7 games, they've controlled the time of possession. They're averaging 32 minutes per game in terms of time of possession. They're going to need that against Alabama. Keep the ball away from that top-ranked Alabama offense. Not only their defense, but the Alabama offense is scoring 41 points per game. So Mississippi State, though, can score. They're averaging 37.6 points per game. So they do have the weapons to get the ball deep on Alabama and move the football on Alabama. Can they put it into the end zone, and can they keep their defense off the field will be a key question for Dan Mullen and his coaching staff. When you look at the defensive side of the ball for Mississippi State, they have 2 very physical and very good cornerbacks. Senior Jonathan Banks, he's 6'2", 185. He's a very physical cornerback, not only in bump and run coverage, but in run support. That's going to be the key for the Mississippi State defense. Can Jonathan Banks and his counterpart Corey Broomfield match up against Amari Cooper and Kenny Bell and force the running game of Alabama. I know that sounds crazy, but if Jonathan Banks and Broomfield can shut down the wide receivers of Alabama and make Alabama one-dimensional, they will have a chance in this ball game. By matching up on the outside, that will allow Mississippi State to blitz and get some pressure on A.J. McCarron. Tennessee wasn't able to do that, but coming into the Tennessee game, A.J. McCarron was hit. He was sacked 12 times coming into the Tennessee game. So if Mississippi State can blitz and play man coverage on the outside with their corners, they will be able to generate some sort of pass rush and get some pressure on McCarron and be in the ball game defensively. When you look at Mississippi State's defense, they're a plus 16 in turnover margin. That's very impressive. They are opportunistic. They do score off their turnovers. When you look at Alabama, Alabama's a plus 14 in turnover margin. Mississippi State's a plus 16. So that's a very good statistic. Their defense is opportunistic, and I expect them to match up very well with the Alabama Crimson Tide. When you look at this matchup you could look over the last 20 years when Mississippi State had Michael Haddix, when Mississippi State had Eric Moles and Kendall Watkins and Tony Bowie and Michael Davis and Keogh Coleman, and Alabama had Freddie Kitchens and Marvin Constant and David Palmer, just to name a few. These matchups were very physical against Mississippi State. These were grounded out type of games. They were physical when Jackie Sherrill was the head coach at Miss State. They were very physical on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Mississippi State is not afraid of Alabama, but you must give credit to top-ranked Alabama for what they did last week as well. Alabama coming off another impressive victory on the road at Knoxville. 44-13. They dismantled Derek Dooley and that Tennessee coaching staff. Give credit to Nick Saban. I said it. He's the best head coach in the game. He prepares week in and week out. A.J. McCarron. At what point do we start talking about A.J. McCarron for the Heisman Trophy? I said he reminds me of Jay Barker, the former Alabama quarterback. A.J. McCarron already has a national championship. He's 19-1 as a starter. He's completing 68% of his passes, 16 touchdowns, no interceptions. Hello? The man is a winner and is the reason why Alabama's offense is scoring 41 points per game. Credit A.J. McCarron and the offensive staff for developing him. He's a legitimate quarterback, and he is tops in the country in my mind. He's leading the number one team. He makes great decisions, and he makes those around him better, and that's why Alabama is sitting at number one in the country. That Alabama offensive line dismantled Tennessee last week. McCarron threw for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns. Amari Cooper stepped up from his wideout position, 7 receptions, 162 yards, 2 touchdowns. You look at Eddie Lacy, he's averaging 5.8 yards per carry. He's got 7 touchdowns on the year. TJ Yelton, he's got 6.8 yards per carry, another 6 touchdowns on the year. That Alabama offense is hitting on all cylinders. They're scoring 41 points a game, and to go along with the top-ranked defense, that's a tough task to go to Tuscaloosa and knock off Alabama. Alabama, I think you don't change a thing heading into this matchup. You rely on your heavy offensive line, Barrett Jones, Chance Warmack, the holes they're creating, and the time that they're giving A.J. McCarron is allowing Alabama to pick apart any defense that they face. The game plan for Alabama against this Mississippi State team has to be get the running game going, use play action against Mississippi State, because I think the physicality of the cornerbacks, they don't want to challenge one-on-one right away. I look for them to use Lacy and Yeldon in the running game and then work off play action. Look for Eddie Lacy to be used in screen passes, and look for Nick Saban and his offensive staff, Nussmeier, to have a great game plan in place for top-ranked Alabama. If you do have a concern for the Crimson Tide, it has to be, I guess, in the kicking game. Nick Saban's a perfectionist. The kicking game did not look good last week. They missed a field goal. They had an extra point blocked. They gave up some long returns to Patterson for Tennessee in terms of the kick return game. So I think Nick Saban will want to fix the special teams heading into this matchup against Mississippi State. When you look at the defensive side of the ball, they are the top-ranked defense, only surrendering 8.3 yards into 8.3 points per game. That's going to be a very tough matchup for Mississippi State. You've only averaged 6 points per game. Now you're going up against a defense that's only given up 8.3 per game. So offensively for Mississippi State and defensively for Alabama, that's going to be the key matchup for this game. Alabama, look for their cornerbacks, Ballou and Milner, to match up with Bumpus and the wide receivers. And can the Alabama front four get some pressure on Tyler Russell? I think they can, but that's going to be a key factor in this ball game, whether Alabama dominates or whether it's a close game or whether Mississippi State pulls off the upset. So I think those are some key factors defensively for Nick Saban. He's a great game planner. Kirby Smart had a great game plan for the Tennessee game. Expect the same heading into this matchup. They are very opportunistic. The way they created turnovers last week against Tennessee, Robert Lester intercepting in the end zone. Look for the same type of effort out of the Crimson Tide. I'm going to hold back a prediction for Thursday, but it's going to be a great week of college football ahead of us. Stay with us at GoForThe2.com. We're going to have all the breakdowns and our predictions up on our website Thursday morning. College football is the best. Just stay with us.